Show all of us that will do this job with integrity.
New NNPC boss visits President Buhari, says transparency, accountability, and probity will be the watchword in taking the oil industry to the next level.
Commend the federal government for its effort on the repatriation of Nigerian migrants from Libya.
Stiffer penalties await perpetrators of child molestation as Senate sets to amend laws. New wigs come on board with a call to professionalism. Good evening and welcome to the network news on the NTA. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. Also on the news with me are Hingino in Lagos and Caleb in Jos. President Muhammadu Buhari is charging the new group managing director of the NNPC, Mele Kolo Kyari, to sustain ongoing efforts at harnessing Nigeria's vast hydrocarbon resources towards enhancing Nigeria's economic fortunes for sustainable growth and development. This is while receiving in audience both the new GMD and his predecessor in office, Dr. Maikanti Baru. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports.
The new group managing director of the NNPC, Mele Kolo Kyari, accompanied by his predecessor in office, Maikanti Baru, is meeting the president for the first time after the seamless takeover of the reins of power at the National Oil Company. During their meeting held behind closed doors, President Buhari noted that a lot has been achieved in the last 3 years across the oil and gas value chain, saying the industry must now be taken to the next level. Most importantly, he said, transparency, accountability, and probity must remain the watchwords as efforts are sustained towards making the critical energy commodities available, accessible, and affordable. The new GMD, Kolo Kyari, told newsmen shortly after that President Buhari's vision and mission for the oil and gas sector are very clear, unambiguous, and indeed achievable without compromise.
I understand the gravity of the assignment given to me. I understand the gravity of the trust that is associated with this work, and also the high expectations of Mr. President for us to make this company a global company of excellence and to deliver to the Nigerian citizenry the benefits of the oil and gas industry. I clearly understand this, and we're focused on making sure that we deliver this in the fastest possible way and in the most efficient way. I assure all of us that we'll do this job with integrity. I will ensure that at the end of the day, in 2023, Mr. President will look back and confirm that he has not misplaced his trust.
The former GMD, Maikanti Baru, who presented to the president a compendium of his performance profile, expressed absolute confidence in the ability of the new leadership of the corporation to deliver on his mandate.
Perfect group, fully aligned, understand the government's program, Mr. President's aspirations and vision for the corporation. And what I will be expecting is that they will more than double what we've done. I'm not setting a high bar for them, but I know this team, they are the jet fighter fellows that will zoom up, dive, and come back and steady. Make sure that this corporation has become not only the largest in Africa, but also making material contribution to the Nigerian economy.
The new NNPC helmsman, Kolo Kyari, promised to work more closely with the EFCC and other anti-graft agencies towards maintaining sanity in the nation's oil and gas industry. From the State House, Adam Musambo, NTA News.
The Africa Development Bank, AFDB, says it is using the Africa Investment Forum to bring together members with interests in Africa's growth and development to strategize on bridging the infrastructure deficit on the continent. Leah Katumba Batunde reports that this is the focus of the second roadshow of the continental lender in Abuja, which was an opportunity to showcase the market space available in Nigeria.
The African investment climate is saturated with a dearth of infrastructure. It comes with a high cost, with Nigeria alone accounting for a cumulative infrastructural need of about $3 trillion by the year 2024. The African Development Bank, along with the Africa Finance Corporation, is providing the link between financiers and the marketplace to bridge the deficit.
So I think as we move now to break down borders and barriers and encourage trade, you'll see a lot of improvements in productivity, improvements in terms of investments coming to the continent.
I am confident that after this roadshow, both government and private sector institutions will have a better appreciation of how to present bankable projects that will lead to Nigeria receiving a much higher investment commitment from the AIF.
The demographics show that 60% of global population growth until 2050 will come from Africa. With returns on investment currently at 9.3%, the session wants more than just a talk show.
Government supporting private investor projects to make sure that they are ready. So when they come into contact with investors, investors will be interested.
For us to appeal, so that we can have something by Africans for Africa.
Last year, 49 deals valued at $38.7 billion were secured at the forum, and out of the 63 boardroom deals presented, Nigeria had 5 deals worth $7 billion, largely due to the nation's medium-term plan, the ERGP. In Abuja, Leah Katung Babatunde, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari says inculcating the virtue and values of integrity needs to be given the desired priority in the renewed efforts at reviving Nigeria's educational sector. The president stated this while receiving a delegation from the Arewa House Center for Historical Documentation and Research. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
The leadership of the Arewa House Center for Historical Documentation and Research was led to the State House by Professor Idris Shaba Jimada. Its mission was to seek presidential consent on plans to institute the Buhari Integrity Annual Lecture Series. This, Professor Jimada said, is not only to appreciate the Nigerian leader's philosophy on morality, but also his other worthy attributes so as to inspire Nigerians to embrace them in the best interests of the country.
This is an attempt to immortalize you. Your legacy should just not go in vain. To our knowledge and from our researches, lack of integrity, especially among many Nigerians, bring incidences of corruption and lack of patriotism. And we believe that you are a shining example for Nigerians, for future generations to come, because these attributes stand the test of time.
Apart from inducting President Buhari into an Integrity Hall of Fame at the inaugural lecture series, the center is also committed to ensuring that integrity is introduced into the school curriculum. President Muhammadu Buhari described the proposal on the teaching of integrity as welcoming and worthy of support by all well-meaning Nigerians.
Integrity to be taught in schools. This is very interesting because we will eventually have a better society in the future.
The president, however, made a case for proper funding of basic education as well as improved welfare and training of teachers who directly create the enabling environment for learning.
The local government should make sure education and healthcare are provided basically to the people relative to the resources being made available.
President Buhari said education is vital to national development, and therefore it is important to adequately take care of teachers as their happiness directly impacts on the quality of education the younger ones get in schools. Repositioning the education sector, President Buhari said, goes beyond the north and should be pursued holistically across Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Senate is to amend relevant laws to provide stiffer penalties for those found guilty of child molestation. This follows a motion of urgent public importance, which also advised all the states of the Federation to domesticate the Child Rights Act. Ignacio Sunko has the report.
And because she has come...
The disturbing trend of child molestation in Nigeria resonated on the floor through a motion by Senator Rose Oko. The legislators were unanimous on the need for heavier sanctions for culprits and called on the Nigerian police to conduct a mandatory training for their officers who handle cases of rape.
Harrowing stories of school children being raped by their teachers or supervisors.
Medical institutions and universities. It is important to also have rape counselors.
To some of these judges, when they say minor crimes, they even treat cases of people convicted of rape and in this statutory rape as minor crimes.
Stiffer punishment to serve as a deterrent.
Senators were worried at the rising cases of suicide in Nigeria, describing it as disturbing. Senator Theodore Orji, who moved the motion, also urged the Ministry of Information, National Orientation Agency to engage in mass action against suicide.
NUC to review this school curriculum and come up with compulsory courses that will enable students place value on their lives and detest suicide.
Senator Jibrin Barrow's motion called on the United Nations to investigate and bring to book those who carried out the killing of 9 migrant Nigerians in Libya. While the need for the federal government to give greater attention to water transportation in Nigeria to make it competitive and safer for operators and users was moved by Senator Adedayo Adeyeye.
The Libyan government immediately released the refugees and migrants from detention centers and for relocation to safe shelter.
I also want to commend President Muhammad Buhari for the first engagement he did with the Libyan leader in AU summit in Niger Republic.
We should, first of all, try to do more of advocacy here.
Commend the federal government for its effort on the repatriation of Nigerian migrants from Libya.
Senate President announced list of nominees, Oba Maska as Executive Commissioner and 3 non-executive commissioners of the Nigerian Communications Commission, and Habu Galadima, the Substantive Director General of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, as contained in a letter from President Muhammadu Buhari requesting their confirmation. President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan granted audience to members of the Yobe State House of Assembly, during which he thanked the people of the state for their support and assured them that the 9th National Assembly will give President Muhammadu Buhari the desired support. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Still at the National Assembly, the House of Representatives at Tuesday's plenary resolved to constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate the ongoing crisis in the Edo State House of Assembly for the return of peace, order, and harmony to the Assembly. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
In a motion of urgent public importance on the need for House intervention in the crisis rocking Edo State Assembly, Representative Julius Ihovere prayed the House to invoke the powers of the National Assembly in Section 11, Subsection 4 of the Constitution to take over Edo State Assembly to ensure peace and harmony and proper inauguration of members.
Against the background of the illegality and the growing insecurity challenges in the state, no normal legislative business can take place unless the proper procedure for inaugurating the legislature is done.
The House, after deliberations, adopted amendment on the motion and set up an ad hoc committee on the matter.
The ad hoc committee will be headed by Honorable Razak Namdaz.
The need to investigate pipeline explosion and fire outbreak resulting in loss of lives and property in Komkom and Izoma communities of Oyibo local government area of Rivers State by Representative Chisom Promise Dike was another motion of urgent public importance adopted by the House. On another motion of urgent public importance on the need for President Muhammadu Buhari to appoint ministers by Representative Tobi Okechukwu from Enugu State, the Chief Whip Muhammad Mongono explained the position of the law on the matter.
The House is concerned that this has created a huge vacuum of political leadership, poor or lack of supervision, every other day, and activities of government going unsupervised.
There is nowhere in the Constitution that gave time limit within which Mr. President shall appoint ministers.
The House, on notice of the security breach at the National Assembly by the Shiite group, suspended plenary till Wednesday, the 10th of July. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
The Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has raised a 5-man committee to douse the tension generated by the emergence of Honorable Ndudi Elumelu as the minority leader of the House of Representatives. The Board of Trustees Chairman, Senator Walid Jibrin, at the party's headquarters in Abuja, after a meeting of the Board of Trustees, announced that members of the committee, chaired by Senator Ioche Ayu, will submit their report in 7 days. Other members of the committee include Senator David Mark, Senator Ibrahim Mantu, Senator Adolphus Wabara, and Honorable Austin Ogbara as Secretary of the committee. Plenary sittings in the 2 chambers of the National Assembly was cut short Tuesday due to security challenges posed by the ravaging members of the Shiite group who attempted to invade the National Assembly. Correspondent Omotola Omojola reports that despite this, other scheduled hearings, however, took place, including the investigative hearing on the alleged assault by Senator Elisha Abo from Adamawa State on a lady in Abuja.
Activities in the National Assembly was partially shut down Tuesday, July 9, as men of the Nigerian police force took on members of the Shia Muslim group who wanted to forcefully gain access into the complex. The violent face-off left some officers injured, 1 feared dead, and a number of cars badly damaged. Chairman of the Committee on Media, Senate, Senator Adedayo Adeyeye, gave the position of the Senate on the matter.
All Nigerians reserve the right, if they follow proper channels and procedures, to come here to meet with their elected representative to ventilate their grievances. It should be so. But where there are breaches in terms of procedure and the regulations guiding such matters, then of course it gives room for concern.
This kind of situation is not acceptable to us. We cannot be here and then one day someone will just come and wipe out everybody. And that is not only for members of the National Assembly, everybody.
In another event, embattled Senator Elisha Abo appeared before Senate Ad hoc Committee investigating the allegation of assault against him, but refused to speak on the matter, which he said is before a court of law.
I have been receiving thousands of media listening for me to go and address journalists, to tell them my side of story. I refused. But coming here to be ambushed with media people covering me, I will not talk to the media.
The committee then dissolved into a closed session to continue with a hearing. From the National Assembly, Omotola Omojola, NTA News.
Still at the National Assembly, the FCT Police Command has arrested 40 members of the Shiite sect in connection with the violent protest at the National Assembly this Tuesday. In a statement signed by the Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Anjuguri Manza, the command states that while it recognizes and respects the right of citizens to peaceful procession, any attempt by individuals or groups of persons to cause the break down of law and order will not be tolerated. The police command also noted that while investigation is still in progress, those arrested in the process will be dealt with in accordance with the appropriate laws of the land. Meanwhile, President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has visited the injured police officers at the National Assembly Clinic, where he wished them a quick recovery. We'll have more reports after this commercial break.
Enjoy the best of African football as NTA, Africa's largest television network and hotspots, Nigeria's foremost sports production and marketing company, bring you all 52 matches of the Africa Cup of Nations, Egypt 2019 live from June 21 to July 19, 2019. Yes, all 52 games will hit your screens in crystal clear digital quality. It's your guarantee of a memorable viewing experience and a wonderful cost-effective opportunity for corporate Nigeria to reach tens of millions of Nigerians. For sponsorship and commercial support, contact Abubakar on 0803-331-0175 and Felix on 0803-308-2375. Hot Sports, masters of the game. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Wakapa, follow! Kitty. He doesn't want overripe things. Dudu by nature. Black is beautiful. Oh, talk to me. And the baby is black. Ask her. Uche, quickly send me the baby video.
Okay, ma.
Yeah, it's playing.
Oh my goodness. He's loving it. Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
Bye.
Data is oxygen. Glow 4G, the new speed of life. Your #1 4G network nationwide. The very best from Glow, the grandmasters of data.
The fastest growing educational institution in Africa, Afe Babalola University, Abuja, is conducting second batch admission screening into the colleges of engineering, law, sciences, social and management sciences, medicine and health sciences. 10 a.m. prompt, Saturday, 13th July 2019. Centers, Afe Babalola University, Adwekiti, Government Secondary School, Gariki, Abuja, Afe Babalola Auditorium, University of Lagos, Elechi Amadi Polytechnic, Rumuola Road, Port Harcourt, Afe Babalola International Study Center, Bodija, Ibadan, Mastercare International School, Asaba, Bright Future College, Uyo, Peters Place Hotel, Emene, Enugu, Montessori International College, 66 Airport Road, Warri, undergraduate, direct entry and postgraduate admissions available in all colleges. Access www.abwad.edu.ng or call 080-335-09150. Abwad, a vision in motion.
I was born and bred in Africa. I schooled in Africa, and I've seen firsthand the level of poverty in Africa. This is the reason why our family in 2010 created the Tony Elmelu Foundation to help young African men and women to realize their life aspirations. To the young Africans, I say, the future of Africa is indeed in your hands. I look forward to welcoming our entrepreneurs in Abuja between the 26th and 27th of July this year for the annual Tony Elmelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Forum, the largest gathering of African entrepreneurs.
Preparing for that big day can be somewhat stressful. Which can lead to headaches and pain. So treat headaches and pain fast with Nurofen Express. Nurofen Express liquid capsules, when taken, starts to dissolve in 1 minute, then goes to the source of pain fast, providing quick and effective relief. Nurofen Express works at the source of pain fast.
The President, National Union of Road Transport Workers, Alhaji Najim Usman Yassin, on behalf of the management and staff of the union, congratulates the Chief of Staff to President, Malam Abba Kyari, and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, on their reappointments by the President, urging them to use the renewed mandate and experience to assist the President in achieving his next-level agenda. Alhaji Najim Usman Yassin, Makamanguso, and President, National Union of Road Transport Workers, announcer. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, invites all secretaries to state governments, permanent secretaries, heads of cabinet affairs offices in the Southeast geopolitical zone, consisting of Enugu, Ebonyi, Anambra, Imo, and Abia, to the second in the series of the regional meeting held for secretaries to state governments and heads, permanent secretaries of cabinet affairs offices, which is a follow-up meeting on the outcome of the maiden meeting held in the second quarter of 2019 in Abuja for secretaries to the state governments, permanent secretaries, heads of cabinet affairs offices. The meeting is designed to, among other things, develop a synergy between the cabinet affairs offices at the federal and state levels in order to develop a framework for a community practice. Follow-up meeting is scheduled to hold as follows. Date, Thursday, July 11, 2019. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, Golden Tulip, Agulu Lake Hotel, Orca, Anambra State. Announcer, Babatunde Lawal, Permanent Secretary, Cabinet Affairs Office, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Thank you for remaining with the NTA. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has re-emphasized the firm commitment of the Buhari administration to human capital development, saying economic opportunities and conducive environment are being created for businesses to thrive in the country. He stated this when he received a delegation from the Kingdom of the Netherlands, led by the Minister of Foreign Trade and International Cooperation, Mrs. Sigrid Kaag. During the meeting, the Vice President witnessed the signing of a communique on the bilateral consultations between Nigeria and the Netherlands by officials of the two countries. Professor Oshibajo described human capital development for inclusive growth as particularly important to Nigeria in view of its large population and significant problem of poverty. The federal government, he said, will appreciate effective cooperation and collaboration with the Netherlands in the provision of technology and training for the N-Power program. The meeting discussed ways to further strengthen bilateral economic relations and agreed that a working group will be established that will focus on the growth of trade and investment between the two countries, especially in the areas of agriculture, food production and distribution, and food security. The Netherlands Foreign Trade Minister, Sigrid Kaag, who described Nigeria as a strategic partner, said the Netherlands government will establish programs in the country that will focus on knowledge exchange, capacity building, private sector development, and value chain transformation. Speaker, House of Representatives says Nigerians will reap the benefits of good governance in the next level, as the 9th National Assembly is poised to foster improved executive-legislature relations by avoiding pitfalls of the past. He spoke shortly after a visit to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, in Abuja. Mitari Ikben has the report.
It is no secret that the executive-legislature relationship during the 8th Assembly was less than the desirable. Speaker Gbajabiamila says this will change for the better in the next 4 years, as the National Assembly leadership is determined to plug all loopholes that could hinder a symbiotic relationship with the executive arm of government.
The traffic has to be both ways. He'll come to the National Assembly to see us. We'll come here to see him. So you're going to be seeing more of this to foster a good relationship. Even the meeting we had with him last week when he came over is beginning to yield results and fruits. And we want to make sure that we cement that.
We are working together, trying to build a synergy, trying to make sure that we do not allow for communication gap, so that when we rush to the National Assembly with matters that we want to be expeditiously treated, they will know the urgency because they have a background information.
The SGF also played host to the NNPC Group Managing Director, Mele Kolo Kiari, accompanied by his predecessor, Meikanti Baru. The new NNPC boss said continuity of petroleum industry reforms initiated by the Buhari administration will be his guiding principles.
To make sure that there is calm and peace in the Niger Delta, to ensure that petroleum product supply is sustained and distribution is sustained in such a way that no pains come to Nigerians, and ultimately to link up the oil and gas industry to the rest of the economy. Our promise is to make sure that all our refineries become available and operational during the time of this administration, before end of 2023.
The transition process in itself attests to the fact that we will have stability in the industry.
To effectively diversify the nation's economy, the SGF said government will leverage on the nation's improved oil production capacity. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Nigeria has secured a ruling before the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea based in Hamburg, Germany. The ruling is a $14 million bond against the Swiss-flagged oil tanker, which violated Nigeria's maritime laws in January 2018. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo has details.
On the 23rd of January 2018, the Nigerian Navy arrested a Swiss-flagged vessel while undertaking a ship-to-ship transfer of oil right inside a platform within the exclusive economic zone of Nigeria without due authorization, contrary to the maritime regulations of Nigeria. The Swiss vessel, its cargo, and crew, who are Ukrainians, were subsequently handed over to the EFCC, which is currently prosecuting the case at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt. But since then, the Swiss government has mounted pressure for the release of the arrested vessel. It is part of this pressure that made them approach the International Tribunal, which has now ordered for the payment of the $14 million bond.
The International Tribunal for Laws
of Laws of the Seas rejected Switzerland's request that the prosecution be suspended. The tribunal also conditioned the release of the vessel upon Switzerland's posting a bond of financial security that it guarantees that their return to Nigeria should Nigeria prevail in the arbitral proceedings.
Although the substantive matter is still proceeding at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt, the international intervention by the International Tribunal on the Laws of the Seas is a vindication of Nigeria's right to be able to determine who does business and in what form on Nigeria's water shores. From the Federal Ministry of Justice, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
The Presidential Election Petitions Court has continued hearing of one of the petitions pending before it. The court has 3 petitions to adjudicate on within the constitutionally stipulated time limit. Dele Atumbi has the report.
In the petition of the PDP and its candidate, the petitioners have called additional 13 witnesses at Tuesday's court sitting. This brings to 19 the number of witnesses the petitioners have called out of the 400 witnesses they proposed in the matter. The witnesses who adopted their statements on oath as their evidence in chief were led in evidence by the counsel to the petitioners, Livy Uzouku, SAN. During cross-examination, counsel to INEC Usman Ustaz, SAN, counsel to President Muhammadu Buhari, Wole Olanipekun, SAN, and Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, of the APC put the witnesses to task on the allegations. One of the witnesses could not even recall the date presidential election was held in Nigeria. Their claims bordered on alleged overvoting, non-compliance with the Electoral Act in the conduct of the election, and inability to use card readers in some circumstances. 2 assistant presiding officers who claimed to have transmitted results to INEC server could not sustain their claim during cross-examination as they were confronted with the INEC manual that gave the job of transmission of results to presiding officers. The witnesses could not even tell the court the particulars of the server they purportedly transmitted results to. The PDP and its candidate are challenging the conduct of the presidential election in 11 states. National Chairman of the APC, Adams Oshiomhole, represented his party and President Muhammadu Buhari in the court, while Austin Akin Budu, the National Organizing Secretary of the PDP, represented the petitioners. After calling the 13 witnesses, the Presidential Election Petition Court adjourned for the hearing in the PDP petition to Thursday, 11th July 2019, while the court will commence hearing of another petitioner this Wednesday. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
The body of benchers has inducted 866 new legal practitioners at a call to bar ceremony in Abuja, with emphasis on adhering to high professional code of conduct in order to serve humanity. Ali Tukur now reports.
Victory at last for the new wigs who are now eligible to become members of the noble legal profession. For 60-year-old Anthony Ayaun and Ikiruka Onyejocha, a 4-term 7-member of the House of Representatives, and the other 864 new wigs, it is a dream come true and an opportunity to serve humanity in the country.
Well, I thank God and I feel highly elevated because this has been a dream all this while, and thank God today it has come to fulfillment.
I think when it comes to the legal profession is basically enhancement of the standards of Nigerian legal profession.
I can't express how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling extremely excited.
Out of the 866 candidates that are presented to the body of benchers for induction, 800 are those that are successful at the April 2019 bar final examinations, while 16 are those from the previous bar final examinations. The acting Chief Justice of Nigeria urged the new legal professionals to shun the get-rich-quick syndrome in order to create sanity in the legal profession by administering justice within the ambit of the law.
I therefore urge you that in the days and years ahead to come, you must remain steadfast, dedicated, persevere at all times.
For the new wigs, it is now expected of them to make the best of the legal profession after having passed all the academics and non-academics tests.
The United Nations and Swiss-based diplomacy organization are helping Nigeria build a strategic mechanism towards ending the farmers and herdsmen conflict. This is coming as the federal government is streamlining and fine-tuning the National Livestock Development Plan with a view to addressing challenges affecting the livestock subsector of the economy. Musa Baba Aliu has details.
This is 40-year-old Abdul Karim Hassan rearing his cattle in a land reserved for rice farming. We have mutual understanding with the farmers in this area to protect each other's interests, he says. This is the kind of relationship the federal government is clamoring for between farmers and herders.
We hope for a symbiotic relationship. We hope for a return to that era where they saw themselves as partners in progress.
In the National Livestock Transformation Plan, there are 5 enabling pillars, all of them speaking around conflict resolution, justice and peace. These are issues that are very, very key to the feelings and aspiration of Macban as a society.
With the incessant clashes between the two parties, the United Nations Development Programme UNDP and Center for Humanitarian Dialogue are coming as mediators towards addressing the challenge.
The forces that this country faces today and tomorrow do not distinguish between religion or ethnicity or trade. They will affect everyone, so we must all resolve to work together to address them.
We look forward to enjoy more of this relationship. We look forward to enjoy more of the capacity building training.
Participants at the training are Mieti Allah leaders from 7 states that have histories of conflict between farmers and herders. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Time now to join our Lagos Network Center, where Hingino is standing by for more stories on NTA Network News. Hello, Hingino.
Thank you, Kudu, and welcome to Lagos. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has advocated attitudinal change by stakeholders in the electoral process and a commitment to playing by the rules. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, said this at a review meeting with media practitioners on the 2019 general elections in Lagos. Tunde Saiki reports.
The conclusion of the 2019 general elections offers the Independent National Electoral Commission and others who engage in the process an opportunity to appraise the constitutional, legal, administrative and logistic issues connected with the elections. In this regard, the review meeting with line editors and senior staff of media organizations in Lagos examined the desirability and workability of some of the suggested areas for legislative, constitutional and administrative interventions that will assist the Commission and the country in the conduct of a credible election.
And I believe that there are issues which many of you felt you could raise with INEC for the improvement of the electoral process, but only if you have access to those who will listen.
We must be careful not to fall into the trap of believing that every electoral challenge must be solved or resolved through constitutional or electoral act amendment.
The meeting caught the attention of stakeholders to issues bordering on procedures for accreditation of media organizations, access to information on INEC and its officials, conduct and experiences of voters on election day, especially the vulnerable persons, and the conduct and experiences of party agents, security personnel, candidates and political parties.
We should look at the issue of independent candidacy.
The meeting, officials of INEC say, is part of a wider consultation to learn lessons that will assist the Commission in the conduct of future elections. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Nigeria Customs Service, Apapa Area Command, generated over 203.2 billion naira in the first 6 months of 2019. Briefing newsmen in Lagos on activities of the command, the controller, Mohammed Abakura, says the amount represents over 54% of the command's annual revenue target. Paul Omukago tells us more.
This amount is 26.5 billion naira
over the 176.7 billion naira generated in the same period in 2018, while attributing the success recorded in its revenue drive to strict adherence to professionalism, periodic stakeholders forum, and prompt resolution of disputes. The controller expressed concern over the continuous breach of federal government fiscal policy measures by some importers. 29 containers of various food items, clothes, and tramadol, he added, were seized.
Yes, the government is trying to attract investors to come and do business in Nigeria, then encourage business people in Nigeria to do their business within a very short time frame and at a lower cost. But definitely we cannot sacrifice the security of the country, our revenue on the, for the country based on the fact that, yes, government said they want us, they are implementing ease of doing business, and some people are not complying with the rules and regulations. We are going to facilitate legitimate trade only. And what I mean by legitimate trade is trade that has complied with all the rules and regulations.
The scorecard for the first half of the year indicates an appreciable improvement in exports, as over 95,000 metric tons of agricultural and mineral products were exported. In Lagos, Paul Mukago, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. More reports after this commercial break. Please stay with us.
Data is oxygen. Glow 4G, the new speed of life. Your #1 4G network nationwide. The very best from Glow, the grandmasters of data.
Son, being good at something requires strength. It requires pushing yourself. It requires putting in more. That's why the new improved Bornvita is packed with vitality and a great taste.
In Nigeria, there is one sound we need to silence. So let's silence toothache before it starts with Oral-B All-Round Protection. Its advanced technology helps prevent both tooth hurts and gum problems that can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your teeth, giving them all-round protection. Because the only sound we really want to hear is that of our future. For healthier, stronger teeth in 1 week.
Milo Ready to Drink with Active Go is made with the natural goodness of milk, malt and cocoa with essential vitamins and minerals, so you can pack the winning energy of Milo into your lunchbox to make sure your chump is always ready to keep winning every day. Milo, the energy food drink of future champions.
Milo! Our country is filled with people with different skills. And like the game football, we all have a position to play. The midfielders are the ones who bring us together. They help us unleash our potential. To win, we must come together as one team. We must play as Nigeria united.
One Football Confederation, 24 teams, 6 stadiums, 4 cities, 504 African stars, 1 trophy. The Africa Cup of Nations Egypt 2019 comes alive from June 21 with the showpiece final on July 19, 2019. Watch the 52 matches of the tournament live on Africa's biggest and largest television network, NTA, in partnership with Hot Sports. Be part of the biggest soccer fiesta in the African continent as the Super Eagles go on a bold mission to clinch the prestigious title for the 4th time, to the excitement of millions of fans across the length and breadth of Nigeria. For inquiries, please contact Abubakar on 0803-331-0175 and Felix on 0803-308-2375. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Thank you for remaining on NTA Network News. Back to our Abuja studios, the African continent is focusing on trading inwards using the instrument of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. It is reported to be the biggest free trade area in the world. And Amina Nujem is here to tell us more. How are investors and policymakers reacting to this development?
Very interesting times for potential investors and Africa in general.
Thank you.
Just as Nigeria signs Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, investors are keeping keen eyes on the potentials that lies in the agreement, and Nigerians is seeking to maximize all available opportunities on the heels of these developments. Investors and policymakers with vested interest in building the African economy are looking at their bargain chips to strike mutually beneficial deals.
Just free trade area in the world. That's what we are now. I look forward to the amount of deals that are going to be in place. Intra-Africa trade is at all-time low in terms of world trade. That's at 14%, which is very low. And the only way to drive it is when Africa starts to trade with itself.
Effective tax dispute resolution techniques are being adopted for quick and effective adjudication of tax matters. To this end, the Tax Appeal Tribunals has held a retreat to perfect strategies for implementation.
Achievement within the period under review are among others as follows: improve public enlightenment and stakeholder engagement, which has resulted in gradual embrace of the tax appeal tribunal by the taxpayers.
We're extremely delighted that based on the decisions made by the TAT, based on what I have heard, very few have gone for an appeal.
Now we know somebody is watching us, and we know that being a supervising ministry, we have to obey.
The Nigerian Stock Exchange is poised to reshape itself after it finished the first 6 months of the year unimpressive. Investors are looking for better days as some analysts predict rally in the second half of the year. In the meantime, for a second day in a row, trading in the Nigerian Stock Exchange continued to advance over the negative trend that characterized last week. The O-share index appreciated further by 0.10% with market closing at 29,000 basis points. A total of 294 million shares were traded in 4,033 deals. This was valued at 3.218 billion naira. Market capitalization 14.288 trillion naira, with the year-to-date returns currently at -6.72%. The most active stocks to boost market turnover were Cornerstone Insurance PLC, Guarantee, Zenith Bank. 99 equities participated in trading, Cadbury leading 18 gainers and Glasgow led 20 losers. Caleb is standing by with our next report in Jos.
Thank you very much and welcome to Jos. Ahead of the August 3rd by-election for Pengana State Constituency, Bassa 1, the Independent National Electoral Commission has held a brainstorming session with key players towards a hitch-free electoral process. Ndeyang Andewa Yang has the details.
The INEC stakeholders meeting is coming on the heels of approval for a by-election into Pengana State Constituency after the death of the member-elect. And so the timetable, schedule of activities, and legal framework for the by-election were extensively discussed. The resident electoral commissioner, Plateau State, Hussaini Hali Lupai, said as an electoral umpire, the commission is prepared for a credible by-election. He further gave a breakdown of electoral activities.
As we speak, the ballot papers, the result sheets are already produced. They are there in the custody of the Central Bank of Nigeria Jos branch. Political
parties and security agencies at the meeting restated their resolve to ensuring a hitch-free election.
I'm fully satisfied with the outcome of our meeting with INEC. So as far as my party is concerned, we are fully ready.
We're set. Whatever. No problem. We'll go for the contest. We're fully ready for the contest.
7 registration areas, 60 polling units, and 67,033 registered voters are the delimitation details released by the INEC for the Pengana by-election in Jos, Indenyan, and the Abuja. NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. Mohammed, it's back to you.
Thank you, Caleb. Ahead of the 2020 governorship election in Ondo State, Southwest leaders of the All Progressives Congress, APC, led by the national leader Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, have met in Akure to strategize on ways to unite the party members. Wasiu Rafiu has the report.
The meeting was at the instance of the former interim national chairman of the party, Chief Bisi Akonde, had in attendance party leaders and stakeholders across Southwest geopolitical zone. The closed-door meeting was to scale up the party's fortune in the election.
We have set up a leadership caucus, sort of, and assign responsibilities to bring peace and unity to this day.
Unity, talking together, consulting one another, and working together for the interests of our party, and in particular Ondo State.
Our leaders will go back and preach unity to all our members at all levels, because the membership is the foundation of the party.
In the meantime, a reconciliatory committee has been set up to bring together aggrieved members of the party. The APC in Ondo State has been enmeshed in a series of crises before and after the last general elections. In Akure, Wasiu Rauf, NTA News.
Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila has commended the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, for its commitment and professional coverage of government policies and programs, especially the National Assembly. The Speaker gave the commendation when the Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, and other management staff of the NTA visited him at the National Assembly. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
The Nigerian Television Authority and the National Assembly have enjoyed a symbiotic working relationship since Nigeria's return to democracy in 1999. The broadcast giant, the NTA, has been in the forefront of the coverage of the National Assembly's activities and programs. Congratulating the Speaker and his Deputy Idris Wase for their re-election and emergence as presiding officers of the 9th House of Representatives, the DG NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, also told the Speaker that NTA Parliament, dedicated to the transmission of parliamentary activities, is now on the DSTV, GoTV and StarTimes platforms, rendering 24-hour service to the National Assembly.
If NTA does not propagate the policies of the federal government, the decisions taken by the National Assembly, which channel in Nigeria will do that? No channel in Nigeria has that mandate. Only NTA has that mandate. And I've always challenged those who accuse us of propaganda to show me one issue that NTA has carried on their news that is not correct.
The Speaker praised the NTA for ensuring balance in his reportage and promised that the National Assembly will be there to assist the NTA do better.
The fact that you're on the particular broadcast medium 24/7 speaks volumes. It's almost akin to what you have in the Western world, the C-SPAN, which is what I believe it is, the C-SPAN in America. That's exactly the role you're playing here, and I thank you for it. That cannot be that role cannot be underplayed. You're doing a good job. You're doing a yeoman's job.
The visit, the Speaker also explained, has opened up a new opportunity in working relationship of both government institutions. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
President Muhammad Buhari has expressed shock over the death of 19 passengers whose vehicles collided at Inyar Madiga in Kano State during the weekend. A statement by the Senior Special Advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says the President received the news with deep grief and empathy for the families of the victims of the accident. He advised that even as the roads get better with increased maintenance, drivers must drive with caution and vigilance. President Buhari prayed that the Almighty God will comfort the families of the deceased at these difficult times and grant them the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss and also reward the good deeds of the departed with paradise. We now go for another commercial break. We will be back with more reports.
Our country is filled with people with different skills. And like the game football, we all have a position to play. Some save the day. They put themselves on the line for the others. They are the goalkeepers. To win, we must come together as one team. We must play as Nigeria united.
The management of the National Theatre, Igomu, Lagos, announces the funeral arrangements of their late General Manager and Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Mrs. Stella Morondia Mubo Oyedepo, who passed on to glory on the 22nd of April 2019. Aged 69, she is survived by her husband, Dr. Hezekiah Bamidele Oyedepo. Children, Kayode, Iyedele, Boladele, Babadele, Omodele, and 11 grandchildren. Funeral programs are as follows. Service of songs and night of tributes. Thursday, July 11th, 2019 at 4 p.m. Funeral service. Friday, July 12th, 2019 at 10 a.m. Venue, Living Faith Church, Winners Chapel, New Jerusalem, Kwara State Headquarters, Guy Imam off Ajiashe Road, behind Stella Obasanjo Multipurpose Hall, Ilorin, Kwara State. Interment follows immediately. May her gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Announcer, Management.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the accelerated promotion of 2 senior officers and subtenant of the Nigerian Army. A statement by the Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sagir Musa, indicates that officers granted promotion for their extraordinary feats in the counter-insurgency operation in the northeastern part of the country include Major General Lamidi Adeoshun, the Chief of Training and Operations at Army Headquarters, promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General, while Brigadier General Abdul Malik Bulama Biu, General Officer commanding 7th Division and Commander Sector 2 Operation Lafia Dole Maiduguri, has been promoted to the rank of Major General. Similarly, Lieutenant A.J. Njibrin of 211 Demonstration Battalion Bauchi has been promoted to the rank of Captain. Now we go for the weather update for Wednesday.
I am Imara Joyce Inchom. Taking a look at Wednesday's weather forecast, we expect rains over the coastal parts of the country, then cloudy conditions to the inland cities of the south. The western half of the central region and the northwestern parts of the country are expected to experience cloudy conditions in the morning. Conversely, the eastern half of the central region and the northeastern corner are expected to experience thunderstorms in the morning, and those systems are likely to propagate westwards to affect parts of Kwara State and Niger later in the afternoon and evening hours. And over the southern region, there are possibilities of rains in the afternoon and evening period. Stand by for the temperature forecast. Thank you for watching. Bye.
That concludes Network News for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Muhammad Kuda Abubakar. Good night.